And I can tell you what are the characteristics that gets them on that list, if you will. For example, they're called rare earths, but they're not all that rare. There's 17 of them. Some of them are as common as copper and base metals. But there's four rare earths, for example, that number one are hugely in demand. For example, artificial intelligence, although it will run on data, it relies on rare earths for magnets and sensors and cooling systems that power the data centers.
Financial independence,
freedom,
financial picture,
independent financially,
financial future,
financial freedom and wealth,
financial independence.
Get your fill, financial independence and long life. Hello and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill, Financial Independence and Long Life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals. And we invite cool, interesting people who are currently in Portugal on to help us. That's why I'm super excited that Lewis, I scrolled past your last name, Lewis.
O'Connor.
Lewis Connor is with us today. I know it would be a great Irish name. He is the founder of Strategic Metals Invest, which is a unique investment platform that helps individuals diversify with rare earth metals. Doesn't that just sound cool just by itself? A tangible asset class that's becoming essential in tech, green energy, and sustainable development. Lewis has been guiding clients on alternative investment strategies for years, offering insight into the potential of rare metals as a hedge against inflation and a means to support the green economy. Awesome. Hey, so glad you're with us today, Lewis.
Thank you, Christine. I'm very happy to be here. I'm Irish. As you gathered, I'm Irish, but I'm in Portugal at the moment, and we're based in Europe. But I'll tell you all about that in the next few minutes.
All right, excellent. So, how did you become interested? Have you always been just like rare earth metals? Has that always been your focus?
No, actually, only, believe it or not, the last 5 years. I sort of spent a good deal of time traveling the world. I grew up in Dublin, but I went to Germany, and I speak German, and you'll hear more about Germany in a minute. Spent 10 years in Germany, and then went traveling a bit further to the Americas, and I spent a lot of time in Central America and South America, picked up some Spanish there. But then I was coming back home. My two kids, I wanted to become a bit Irish. They were born in Panama in Central America, and they were speaking Spanish. And I thought, hold on a minute, these kids aren't Irish. We gotta get them home before they take their passports away from them or something. So yeah, we came home 5 years ago, and the previous 5 years to that, I was looking for some sort of a business opportunity in Europe that, I was looking for the path of progress, maybe something that by 2020, 2025, 2030, might be something we hadn't heard about then, but we're talking about now. And it's funny we're talking today because I know we scheduled a few months ago, Christine, but since we scheduled this conversation, I have never heard so many heads of state talk about rare earth minerals in the last 90 days than that they have in the last 10 years. President Trump mentioned rare earth minerals in Ukraine, and of course Greenland is about resources. And I just read this morning, yesterday, the U.S. administration hosted a number of African leaders, and in a very, very smart way, they're doing business in a transactional way. And I like actually what the Trump administration said. They said, look, we're more into trade than aid. And so they were talking about rare earth metals again yesterday in the White House. So quite timely that we're speaking today.
Yeah, so let's just, for people, which I would include myself in this, that people who don't really know what rare earth metals, what does that encompass? What does that entail?
Yes. Thank you for your honesty, Christine. Nobody really does know what they are. So, but look, let's put it this way. I'll speak, I know your audience is in North America, so I'll shape the narrative about North America.
Actually, we're in over 50 countries. So you don't have to dumb it
excuse
down.
me. Okay. Sorry about that. Well, let's just say then the U.S. Geological Survey in America identifies 45 to 50 metals that are strategic to America's economic prosperity and also increasingly military capabilities. So there's about 45 metals on that list, and I'll just give you a little preamble before that, which is this offer I'm about to talk about is an offer to private investors, but that's not our core business. And it's very important people know actually what our core business is first, because if it wasn't for our core business, we'd have no business talking to private investors. So our core business is we're an industry supplier. We have a logistics and distribution platform in Frankfurt in Germany. The German side of the business has been in business for 25 years. I'm relatively new to it. I'm 5 years in. But for the last 25 years, they buy these metals, in a lot of cases from China, because China has a sort of an unrivaled dominance in rare earths and strategic metals. And then we resell them. We've got 4,000 clients in 74 different countries, manufacturers and people like Apple and Siemens and Tesla and all that stuff. So that's what 85% of our business activities are. And, you know, as I said, it's only safe to now talk about inviting private investors because of our core business, if you know what I mean. So, so the ones, as I said, the US Geological Survey lists about 50 metals as strategic to the nation's economic prosperity. But we'll talk about a little subdivision of those metals today. These are the ones, as you said, you probably haven't heard of. There's about 8 or 10 of those metals that we offer to private investors. And I can tell you what are the characteristics that gets them on that list, if you will. For example, they're called rare earths, but they're not all that rare. There's 17 of them. Some of them are as common as copper and base metals. But there's 4 rare earths, for example, that number one, are hugely in demand. For example, artificial intelligence, although it will run on data, it relies on rare earths for magnets and sensors and cooling systems that power the data centers. So we look at which ones are the most in demand. AI is one at the moment, robotics, energy transition, defense metals, of course, are a big one at the moment. So there's 4 characteristics that determine what we consider them to be strategic to a private investor. Now, they're strategic to all nations, but these are the ones that are in a subdivision that are strategic to private investors. So the most in demand, the most least produced, and where also there's any sort of a supply concentration risk. For example, gallium is one of them. 98% of the world's gallium is coming from China. So those are the 3 characteristics that determine that they make sense as a private asset to hold.
Okay. And then, so your company, it sounds like it's 2 different legs, right? So you've got the company that's actually selling the rare earth metals. It's actually, you know, providing them to the people who need them. But then you've got an arm. So are they investing in your company, or they're investing directly into the metals?
Yes, good question. So yes, our private clients physically own the asset, just like they would gold and silver. It's not a piece of paper. I mean, we've a storage facility in front. Well, we've more than one now, but our original one was a bunker in World War II, 2 levels below ground. We built a level above. It's got, you know, 2.5-meter walls and doors. It's a bank level secure vault. So we have the largest inventory of rare earths, or strategic metals is a better word for them, anywhere in the world outside of China. And so we realized, or on the German side, they realized about 15 years ago that when we got to about now, 2025, 2027, 2030, there would not only be shortages, there would be periods where these raw materials are just not available. We're just experiencing that at the moment. In the last 5 or 6 weeks, in retaliation, there's a sort of trade technology war going on between China and the US, or China and the rest of the world, maybe. But when President Trump announced the tariffs, China also announced tariffs. But what maybe everybody didn't also hear or see was they restricted the export of 7 rare earths, and 2 of those are on our list. So they went up over the space of 4 or 5 days, they went up 40, 50%. And we now are offering we're offering our private investors a premium, a 20% premium on top of the value. So we can buy them back, so we can now sell them. So you know, I personally, you know, I get a bit scared when I hear people say win-win. It always scares, it's a bit of a red flag, like, but genuinely, it's a symbiotic relationship between us and private investors, because we need inventory. There will be shortages. Yeah. And so we invite private investors to own the assets. They physically own them. They store them with us as well, for a very good reason. One is they're extremely liquid. When they're in our facility, when a client wants to sell, they've access to our 4,000 clients in 74 countries. We can sell them in same day, basically, 24 hours, no matter at the latest. So yeah, it allows us to build an inventory which we know we're going to need. And interestingly as well, Christine, the big sort of driver in, say, from about 2022 was energy transition, right? Electric cars, solar, wind. But now what's happened since Ukraine invaded, Russia invaded Ukraine, and then, the Israeli thing as well, is the US, Europe, many other realize that the raw materials they need for, there's 3/4 of a ton of rare earths in one F-35 fighter jet, or they're needed in laser guided missiles and nuclear submarines. So what's happened in the last year is very interesting as well, which is as the world sort of pivots from oil to metals, the nation states have sort of institutionalized the stockpiling of these raw materials. Just this morning, actually, there was an announcement, MP Materials in California, the US Department of Defense has become the biggest shareholder in the one mine in North America, in California, that produces rare earths. So it's just timely we're talking now, because rare earths are, at this moment in time, have become the new sort of front line in geopolitical decisions. So it's not just Tesla or Apple or Siemens, it's US Department of Defense, it's Department of Energy, it's Defense Logistics. We just had a team of, it was a company, it's a US service disabled veterans company. They're all ex-Navy vets. One or two are still active or reserve. And these guys source materials for the Department of Defense, and they just came to Germany to see, to check us out and have a look at the vault and make sure everything is what it is. So it's a very interesting time. Thankfully, I had a sort of bit of an intuitive feeling about 2017, because I knew the story, and I thought, how come nobody knows about this? How come, for example, when you swipe your phone, you're touching indium. You can only swipe your phone because of indium, right? There's 12 or 13 strategic metals in one phone. There's 12 or 13 semiconductors in each phone. And I couldn't believe that I was touching indium hundreds of times a day, and I didn't know, actually, I could own this and I can profit from owning it. So I love it. I mean, it was one of those intuitive feelings. I thought, at some point the world will become more aware. This will start to come into the news. And again, it's funny we're talking today or over it right now, because this year we're calling it the year of strategic stockpiling. And, these rare earths are in the news practically on a daily basis, where they weren't before,
Yeah. Yeah. So what kinds of qualifications, I guess, is the word for investors? Do they have to be, is there minimums? Are there, I mean, how hard or easy is it to get involved in actually owning some rare earth metals?
Sure. Well, it's very open. Our minimum investment is just $10,000, or €10,000, one or the other. And we're open to, we have, smaller private investors. We encourage people to start small, with start a position they're comfortable with, and sort of watch them grow and realize, okay, it's for real. And we'll educate them then over a period of time. We want to get people fully informed about the metal. As you said, like, every one of our clients is buying gallium for the first time. So we want them to know exactly what they're getting into and exactly what this is and what isn't. And I'm about to make a big, big fat claim, but it's 100% true that we can prove it, is since 2010, since we've been offering rare earths, none of our private investors have lost money, as long as they stick, or they're aligned, if you will, with the strategy. And I just want to say to you, for example, as you know already, like, we're not financial advisors, and we don't have 10 different offerings. I'm not sort of offering crypto and mangoes and metals, right? We've only one offer, and the only reason we have that offer is because our core business is we're embedded in this industry. We turn over hundreds of millions of dollars on the industry side, and that's the only reason that makes it safe. So, however, we do say to our private investors in a very frank and sincere way, please don't do this unless you're aligned with our strategy. We don't want day traders. It's not crypto where you can, you can make money quickly. It can happen. However, we ask our clients to only purchase if they're prepared to hold the metals for 3 to 5 years, because it's been proven. And I had a gentleman actually from North America come over recently. Before he came, he said to me, he's an engineer, real numbers guy. And he said, Louis, I looked at the numbers, and he said, if I had bought metals anytime, say in the year 2010, 2011, 2012, if I had bought in any time in the last 15 years and held for 3 years at least, I would have made money. I can see that. However, sometimes I've made more than others, and there's volatility. But again, it just proves the basic point and premise that if you're willing to hold for 3 to 5 years, you will make money. In fact, they're outperforming. If people take the time, we're outperforming. We sell gold and silver as well. And in fact, we have a little bit of an offer or a boast where we say to people, look, we'll sell you gold and silver without any spread, without any percentage. We'll sell it to you at spot price. If you buy some rare earths as well, and have a look at how it grows, and then if everything goes well, keep adding to the portfolio.
That's interesting offer.
Mm-hmm.
So can just anybody come and check out the warehouses and stuff like that? And
yeah, just with a little bit of notice, Christine. We have clients who are just private investors. We've financial advisors, family offices. It's only quite, these metals were sort of not on the radar or not ignored largely by institutional money, but that's starting to change. One of the reasons they've been largely ignored by institutional money is, in comparison to gold and silver, they do only represent a sort of a relatively small, they have a small economic visibility. So the market cap is, it's still 15 to 20 billion, but gold is 15 to 17 trillion. So that's a whole different thing. But they're produced in small volumes, and it's a sort of a relatively small economic visibility. So up till now, they've been largely ignored by institutional money, because the other thing as well is, there's no point in you or me buying gallium, say, and storing it at home, because the only end buyer is Tesla or Siemens or BMW or wherever it might be. And they won't buy metals from anybody but a recognized supplier, which is what we are on the industry side. So it only makes sense to do it, or it's only safe if you're buying from if you want to make money. I mean, if you're a hobbyist and you want to just have something fun to look at home and not make any money, fine. But if you want to invest and own them, you have to buy, or you'd be crazy not to buy from anybody but a recognized supplier.
so are you basically, when people want to sell them, they're selling them back to you?
Yes, we've a practice of repurchasing the metals. So we'll either buy for our inventory, or we will mediate a sale immediately to one of our 4,000 clients. So, and that's not to say as well, as I said just recently, we've gone to our clients, and we can show clients this in our prospective clients in our due diligence package, which is, we've gone out now to we've been offering all of our clients who own dysprosium and terbium a buyback, and there's no commission on our side. In fact, there's a premium. Why? Because China has restricted the export at the moment. In fact, you've just brought me to a good point, which is, that is the investment play. We have a winning investment strategy, and what that is when there's scarcity, private investors can benefit. I'll give you some quick examples. So when we went into lockdown, terbium is a raw material in semiconductors. So the whole world was going to go working from home, and there was a massive surge in demand for laptops and anything connected with working from home, right? But because terbium is only produced in sort of small volumes, demand jumped and supply couldn't keep up. So terbium went up something like 500% in 3 years. And that's when our private investors can gain. And then, now it has since corrected. But then when we came out of lockdown a couple of years ago, hafnium, which is a super alloy in jet engines. So when Boeing and Airbus, started to fly again and orders came in for jets again, hafnium went up 250%. in about 18 months. So then everything corrected again. But then just recently, in the last 18 months to a month or two ago, China is starting to restrict the exports, not completely ban, but restrict. They want to know where they're going and they want to see the consignee. It's aimed at North America, obviously. So what's happening is the prices are going up again. So our private investors can benefit from these scarcity driven price increases, and they can sell, cash out, or sell and buy more. Our facility in Frankfurt is a bonded duty free zone. It's everything is bought within our clients don't pay any duties or taxes when they buy or sell. Obviously, what they do later on, I know America, you don't want to take tax advice from an Irishman in Portugal, but well, obviously, America is global taxation, so we all I can say is they're duty free in our jurisdiction, and after that, where
Right.
people's residences are, that's their responsibility.
Yeah. So it seems like because of the scarcity right now, it would not be a great time to buy. It'd be best to sort of see if it corrects, or you think it's going to get more scarce.
Good point. Well, that's true at the moment for two, maybe four of those metals. There's another four. There's another two in particular. They're also rare earths, neodymium and praseodymium, which China didn't put any restrictions on. And we were surprised because in a way they have more applications. But those two at the moment, the prices are actually at cost or even sort of nearly maybe even below cost, because what happened in the last few years as well, Christine, some of the prices came down, and the reason was the demand, the domestic demand in China was very, very low. China was struggling itself. So they are volatile. And that's why we say to people, if you're willing to stay in for the 3 to 5 years, they'll go up and then they'll correct, but you'll be able to benefit from those. But you're right, at the moment, out of 8 or 10 metals we'd normally offer, we'd probably only recommend 4 to 6 right now.
Okay, interesting. So that's cool. At least it's not like everything is terrible.
Oh no, it's all
always
good,
always something
Christine.
good
It's
to
all
invest in.
good. It's all good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So this seems like an interesting way to diversify your portfolio rather than just buying an ETF or something that's just gonna, be a lot more fun, right? You can go visit your stuff and
Well, exactly. You can take a trip to Frankfurt. We'll wine and dine you for a few days on the Rhine or down to Heidelberg, and yeah, I mean you're right. It's geographic diversification. It's physical as well. Even currency diversification. If you want to, you can purchase in euros.
Yep.
I mean, it wouldn't be my number one purchase. I mean, and it never is. It's a niche product. We know that. Property is my big thing. Always has been. Always will be.
Me too.
First bought, property in Ireland and in Germany and Panama. So, but it is, there is a space for it in a portfolio. And when people, all we ever ask people to do is just take a close look at this. Give it your full attention and have a look, because there are people who get it immediately. A lot of engineers and surgeons, for some reason, I don't know why, maybe because they know them, or scientists. NASA, we have a couple of NASA client employees and stuff. But all we want is people to take a close look, because as you know, since we've been talking, that we don't have 10 different products. And all we want is for people to take a look at this, have a look at our real business, have a look at the warehouse and see, yeah, these guys are turning over massive amounts of metals, and then have a look at the private investment. Because again, I know it sounds maybe not true, but it is true. None of our private investors have lost money if they've stayed in with this strategy, which is 3 to 5 years.
So this is not. So I'm just thinking about like my investment club and how this would be kind of fun for you to come and talk to my investment club. But it's not like on an exchange. Like, how would people get the history? How would they really understand and feel comfortable about that this is going to be a good long-term investment for them?
Sure. Well, I'd love to talk to you more than on the side about some collaboration or partnership and stuff. So So one of the first things would be on my website, Strategic Metals Invest, is a due diligence portal, which I generally don't give it the password until I've had a conversation with them. But once we've had a chat and we can see we're both serious parties, we'll open that up, and that would have, I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. And I know obviously from North America it's a little bit harder, but for example, these Navy guys, they're ex-Navy SEALs actually, and they've top level security. And one of them very kindly, we're doing business with them, said, Louis, if you ever need anyone in the States that wants to know about that, it's for this guy has been to the vault in Germany, he's he's got, so what I could do is open up the due diligence portal, let people have a look. They can see, all of the, the history, the financial statements, if they showed it to an attorney would find out everything they need to know about, the fact of how long we're in business. And then if they wanted to talk to one of the Navy guys that has actually been to the vault, we'll be happy to do that. They're based in the US. And then, of course, they're very welcome to come visit themselves, and see for themselves. I think, Christine, your eyes lit up a bit. Oh, Germany, yeah. River cruise, metal.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Count me in.
Yeah, you're okay. When are you coming?
I don't know. I'm always up for a road trip. I'll have to check the weather when the weather's really nice there.
Well, if you belong to an investor club as well, it could be research and development, right?
That's a write-off all day long. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you. And but look, yeah, what we could do, like if you wanted to talk, we could definitely talk about that further and introduce. And what we could do is maybe give you and the club a presentation, with the industry side as well, to tell you what the volumes we're doing on the industry and some of our like what's very interesting that people love to hear is we're a tier one supplier to more than one sort of blue chip company. So we're a tier one supplier. I only mentioned one, but Siemens in Germany, but companies like BMW, Samsung, all of these companies are now strategically stockpiling. And in order to be a tier one supplier to anybody like Tesla or Apple, you have, number one, it means they'll order from you every month. They'll place an order. Now, they don't order all their metals from us, but they do order every month. But two, you must be open to an independent audit, at least on an annual basis. So they'll come to the office, they'll come to the vault. So we are a tier one supplier to which we'll open the books for people to see if they're serious. We'll happily show it. So all I suppose I could say, Christine, is everything I'm telling you is 100% certain, factual, and true, and we will provide whatever is needed right up to a visit or a talk with a U.S. Navy, ex-Navy SEAL who've been there. So it will check out, is what I'm saying. But obviously, it's up to you or other parties to take the initiative and do the work.
Yeah, cool, interesting. So, Lou, I really enjoyed talking to you about this. I didn't know, like I said, I couldn't have defined rare earth metal before we started talking, and the idea of investing in it, and certainly, it makes a lot of sense. Like if you would have realized however many hundreds of thousands of years ago that gold was going to be a thing, because really, what's gold? Why does it have value? I don't know. It's shiny, it's pretty. That it's application in action in making stuff, right? Otherwise it's just nothing. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So anyway, it's been fun talking to you. Is there anything you wish I would have asked you? Anything you want to make sure that people understand and take away?
No, I mean, I think you did. You covered it very well, and it's great in a way that you didn't know because you naturally were sort of like Columbo, or no, I'm not.
Yeah. I'm
not going to
one
say
question.
he's male. Tell me who's a good female. Poker Face. Have you seen that show?
No.
Okay, you have to watch out for this girl. She's American. She's like a female Columbo. So the show is called Poker Face. It's US.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Natasha, she was in Orange is the New Black. Anyway, look for Poker Face. So you were like the girl in Poker Face that you didn't know, and you just kept asking, naturally what the next question was. So we did cover it all very well.
All right, great. Excellent.
So
thank you very much, Lou, for being with us today. And thank you, listeners, for listening. If you want to hear more about rare earth metals and you want to connect maybe with Lou and ask him some questions, how can people do that, Lou?
They could go to the website, strategicmetalsinvest.com, or if they want to, they could email me and mention Christine McCarron, Louis, Louis, at strategicmetalsinvest.com.
All right, cool. And I think you should do that because you can get a trip to Germany out of it. You could end up on the Rhine, sipping some, like local brews, have a great time, meet Louis.
Don't forget the metals now, Christine. See some metals. But you're right. Yeah, if somebody comes from the States, I go and meet them in Frankfurt, I meet them off the flight. And if they're there for 3 days, I'm with them for 3 days. And we usually go, just as you said, on the Rhine, or we go to Heidelberg, which is only like less than an hour away. It's the oldest university in Germany. Beautiful castle and river. But yeah, if somebody's making the effort to fly across the Atlantic, we will be with them every step of the way until they're sick of us and say, go away.
Cool. Sounds like fun. Thank you so much. And now, listeners, you have heard some cool stuff from Louis, and I bet you want to say, you can think of people, interesting people maybe who have a little bit of money and would like to do something different and diversify themselves. So forward this episode to them. Try to think of like at least 5 people. Forward this episode to them. They will thank you. Louis will thank you. I will thank you. And, be a superstar for the day. And then go on off and have a fantastic week.